The slat belt conveyor has been built to withstand the extreme stress and workload of today's dish room. This, however, does not exempt it from regular maintenance. Before replacing the slat belt, turn off the main disconnect switch. The slats can be easily removed and replaced. Place a 3/4 inch rod or a screwdriver handle underneath the chain while replacing the slats. Don't forget to remove the rod or screwdriver when you're done. Do not hammer the slats. Hammering the slat will break the plastic lugs that keep the chain locked inside. The slats are attached on a stainless steel slat chain. Over a period of operation, the chain produces permanent stretch and requires an adjustment to remove any excessive sag. This can be accomplished by removing some chain links. The most practical way to separate the chain is with the use of a chain breaker. Removal of each link reduces the overall chain length by 1 1/2 inches. To reconnect the chain, slide the connecting link pins through the two butting inner links and match the loose side plate to the pins. Using a vice grip style pliers or a C-clamp, press the side plate onto the pins until they come through the plate. After cleaning, make sure that the slat belts are properly sitting on the tracks and never lift the belt while the conveyor is running. On the return track, these cornering guides are employed to engage the slat rollers and guide the belt around the corners. Make sure that these guide rails are adjusted to have a 1/8 inch vertical gap between the bottom surface of the slat and the guide rail, and also maintain a minimum gap of 3/16 of an inch between the slat end and the wall of the return track at the curved section. These hold-down brackets support the corner guides and adjust up and down if necessary. Make sure that they are bolted tightly to the return track. Slack in the chain can be removed by repositioning the chain take-up bracket. Normally, the chain should allow about 3/4 of an inch lateral movement. Apply food-grade grease to the drive chain every 6 months. The grease seals for the drive shaft in the wash chamber are already packed leaving the factory. However, it is good practice to inspect and add grease on a quarterly basis. To access the grease nipples, simply lift the slat resting over the center of the drive sprocket. Apply grease till it seeps out around the shaft. This not only continues a water barrier for the outside flange bearings, but also ensures constant lubrication. After this is done, place the slat back on the drive chain, making sure the extended chain pins are nesting properly in the raceways on the slat. Remove the cover and inspect the motor brushes once every year. Inspect the position of the slat belt at the openings on both drive and tail unit. If the slat belt is off the center of the opening, remove a few slats above the drive sprocket. Loosen the sprocket set screws, then center the sprocket. Tighten the set screws and replace the slats. Repeat the same procedure at the tail unit. The detergent feed pump located within the drive unit controls the amount of detergent dispensed. The detergent flow can be adjusted by setting the desired value. Make sure that these fittings are tight to avoid leakage and priming problems. The drip should look something like this. The wash tank water mixing supply unit comes complete with built-in check valves and flow controls. The flow controls can be found on the underside between the incoming supply lines. To adjust either line, use a 1/4 inch to 5/16 of an inch flat screwdriver. By rotating the screwdriver in either direction, the volume is increased or decreased. Trays travel on removable stub roller sections that must be properly placed on the mounting brackets of the soiled dish table. The position of the photosensor can be adjusted. Clean the photoelectric eye every day using a non-abrasive cloth with warm soap water. Regularly check the condition of all limit switches. Make sure they are clean and clear of obstructions. The SCR controller is located inside the main control panel. If the conveyor is not running, check the fuses and replace blown fuses. Please refer to the instruction manual for more details. An operator may forget to replace the corner guides after daily routine cleaning. Make sure that the corner guides are in position before starting the conveyor. Screws are provided to adjust the position of the shelf to any height. The drive chain engages all the plastic sprockets of the power roller system. This is the normal sag of the drive chain between the plastic sprockets. The drive sprocket is directly mounted on a gear motor shaft with a key stock. After replacing the gear motor, run the motor without the key stock to confirm the direction of rotation is the same as the arrows. Stop the motor and turn the disconnect switch off. Manually rotate the sprocket to line up the keyway. Then replace the key stock and tighten both set screws before starting the motor again. The chain take-up can be adjusted two ways. First, disconnect the power to the system to avoid accidental start. For small adjustments, loosen the gear motor mounting screws and lower the motor assembly and tighten the screws. For a large adjustment, remove the desired number of drive chain links. Some systems may have radio guides provided at the turns of the power roller conveyor. The distance between these guides should be adjusted to make sure that the dish rack can be easily guided through the turns to the dish machine. Apply food-grade grease to the bushings and the rollers as and when required. Do not over-lubricate the bushings to avoid grease buildup. At the ends of the tail pulley blocks, there are adjustment screws. Using a 3/4 inch Allen key, rotate clockwise to increase tension and counterclockwise to decrease tension. Too much belt tension will reduce the life of the belt lacings, bearings, and rollers. To remove either pulley, the belt tension must be decreased. The lacing rods as well as the belt is then removed. If the tail pulley needs replacing, first the adjustment screws need to be removed. Then one of the pulley blocks is removed by taking out the two fastening bolts bound inside the chassis. To replace the motor pulley, disconnect the power source. Then disconnect the motor cable, remove the closed-end motor pulley block, and slide the motor and cable out. To install the motor pulley, reverse the process. To replace the belt, first disconnect the power source. The belt is attached by feeding the rod through the laces with a needle nose as you see here. The silver picker and belt assembly can be easily cleaned by hand using a cloth with lukewarm water. To adjust the chain, remove all side and top panels and note the overall measurements of the frame. All four sides must be of equal measurement. At the motor end, the frame is separate. Loosen all the 1/4 inch nuts for the chain guide hold downs on the underside of the upper angles. Now proceed to loosen the 4 1/2 inch lock nuts holding the motor frame to the main frame. Now begin separating the frames equally by turning the nuts between the two frames until the chain is tight. The gap between the frames should be the same from top to bottom. To replace the J-bracket, remove the spring-loaded connecting link. Inspect the wear guide semi-annually and replace the worn guides by removing these screws. Make sure that the reflector is aligned with the photocell detector. Their positions should be adjusted to detect the improperly loaded trays in tray carriers. Remove the cover and inspect the motor brushes once every year. Before replacing a cord, make the cord free from wrinkles. Cut the cord to the desired length. Clamp both ends of the cord in the cord welding machine and turn on the power. Make sure that all pulleys are aligned. Tension in the cord is constantly maintained by the weight of the motor riding in a channel. Hence, no adjustment is required to maintain the tension in the cord. Remove the cover and inspect the motor brushes once every year.